Welcome back to RPR or Reflective Practice Radio. We missed last week, but we're back this week and back to discuss whatever comes up.
That's correct.
My name is Matthew Wright, and this is
Claudio La Sala.
Welcome.
My friend.
Good to see you.
Likewise. So, all right, 2 weeks since we last talked.
Yes.
What has happened since then? What have you been reflecting on?
I've been contemplating building more things.
Okay.
Yes. And how I decide what to build is by examining what is in my life that is giving me difficulty that I can solve with software. Or solve in some manual process that can later be solved with software.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
So that's what I've been thinking about, how I can build more in public.
I like it. It's very, very interesting. That's thanks for sharing that, because this morning when I was driving here to the office, I was journaling on my newsletter.
Yes.
Because it has been about 2 months since I published any issue for my newsletter. So I started my newsletter last year around August timeframe as an experiment.
I remember.
Right? Like, let me run that as an experiment. Okay, how often will I, publish? Maybe weekly. Let me try that. And then I've run that weekly for about 3 months, like every week, not, missing a beat. And then coming to this year, that has dropped, as I said, for the last 2 months or so, right? So it went on for many months. So this morning I was journaling on, okay, what happened there? Or not necessarily what happened. It's like, okay, what is the situation? Okay, it has been about 2 months since I have published my newsletter. What else has happened, or what have I been doing? I also started a different experiment, which was with my daily blogging.
Yes.
Right? So I thought, well, maybe it's related to that, because on January 1st, I published a blog post, and that day I thought, let me try publishing one post every day this week.
Yeah.
It started as an experiment there. It went just fine. And I said, okay, can I do it for a month?
Yeah.
Next thing I know, it's like, oh, I'm going through the end of the quarter. The quarter has ended, and I continued, right? So it started as an experiment, not as a goal. Like, I'm going to do this. It's like, let me try this. Let me see what I've learned. And with the daily blogging, what I've learned was, what are the friction points for me to make that a thing that I'll keep doing.
Yes.
So then I found some friction points in my overall process, and then where I had some automation, where I didn't have and I could have, that would remove that friction. So that's what I focused on since January 1st.
Yes.
Like, can I iron out that thing? And what I've been enjoying with the daily blogging is that it's making me, for at least about 20 to 30 minutes every day, to reflect, because I have to either voice out what I'm thinking about possibly publishing. Then I run it through my workflow to create a draft, and then I go through the drafts, reading through it, refining it, and thinking, well, I think this part here could leverage an image. What is that image? So it gets me thinking about that before I'm ready to hit and publish. So it's like, okay, I'm doing my daily reflective practice doing that. Well, but then I dropped the newsletter somewhat. So this morning I was thinking about it. It's like, do I want to revisit the newsletter with a different cadence? Maybe I do it every other week, or maybe once a month. Maybe if I do that, would I want to make it slightly longer than what I was doing before? Maybe I use my daily blogging, where when I get prepared, or as I'm getting ready to create a new newsletter issue, I can use the blog post I've published since the previous newsletter to spark my reflective practice for the newsletter.
Yeah.
Specifically, right? So it changes a little bit my process, but it may be a good thing so that I keep my daily practice going, and then every 2 weeks or every month, I do let me cast back a slightly bigger or wider net to see what has come up. What does that make me reflect? Because the other thing was with the daily blogging, something that I noticed is that, oh man, putting all of those things every day out, like 2 weeks after I published a post, I already forgot about it.
Yes.
At the end of a month, I go back, it's like, oh, I have no recollection of writing that, of reflecting through that, even though I know I spent at least 20 to 30 minutes doing that. So it makes me think, like, what else have I done? Have I thought through that I already forgot a month later? And how can I tighten that feedback so that it's the spaced repetition?
Yes.
As well. So sorry, it was a long thing, but your comment made me think of what was just journaling this morning.
So today is April 16th, 2026, if I'm not mistaken. And you've been journaling daily since January 1st.
So I've been, yes, I've been posting.
Yes.
Right, to my blog
posting, yes.
daily.
Yeah.
Right, so through that lens, yeah, I've been journaling daily and publishing parts of what I'm journaling, because I journal other things that I don't publish.
Correct.
Those are the ones that I'm like, yep, I'm publishing that.
So in addition to what you're already posting, which is one post a day for maybe 100+ days at this point, you are creating additional content. For the people who are listening or watching, they may wonder, how is he able to do this on such a consistent basis when I want to blog and I want to write, but I struggle to get one post a week out or one post every 2 weeks out? How is he able to do this every single day? So walk us through a day of you preparing for your post that will later be posted in the day.
Okay, so there are different sources I draw from.
Yes.
Right, so maybe I have something like right up here. Maybe I've been working through the day and like fighting some sort of challenge, or I've learned something, I had an epiphany or whatever it is, and it's like right here. I cannot think about anything else. That's very much at the forefront. So I voice journal that. I either go out for a walk and then I just hit record on a simple recording app on my phone, and I say blah, 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 blah. I just get it out the same way I would be walking around the block with you and I'm saying what I have up in my mind. I put that out into the app. That's one source. Another one, I may be driving back home and then I'm using that driving time to just
get it all out.
Get it out, right? That's one. Another one is I may go to my blogging ideas notes in Obsidian that I've been over the years. There's like a few hundred things that I've logged over the years. Like, oh, this is a concept. This is another concept. This is something else, right? So that would be like my secondary source. If I haven't journaled anything that day, I'm gonna go to my secondary source and look and say, oh, that one.
Yeah.
I wanna dive into that one. And then the same process. I'm gonna like say out loud what that topic brings to my mind, record it, get a transcript. From this app on my phone, I send the audio over to the AirDrop onto my Mac. When it falls into a folder, I have Mac Whisper, the application, watching that folder and then transcribing that audio, right? Just give me like a raw transcription of that. Then I trigger something on my computer, a shortcut that takes that file and just puts it in my Obsidian vaults in a very specific folder, like an inbox/voice journaling folder, right? So that's my inbox. I need to process that at some point.
Yes.
Okay. Then recently I've added something in Claude Cowork that is a task that I've set as a manual task. When I want to sit down to actually process my journals, I hit that task, it's going to clean up that that inbox, anything that has not been cleaned up before. Essentially just cleaning up the text, my ums and uhs and my repeating things, right? Because sometimes I'm like, oh, I just said some, okay, wait, whatever. And then I restate something. So I have a little process in Cowork, a skill that will just clean that up. Just like clean up so that when I read through it, I don't have to read through my oh.
So it's cleaning a transcript.
It's just cleaning up the
Okay,
transcript.
understood.
Very, very minimal. Like do not add anything to what I said. Do not remove important things that I said. Just cleaning it up and fixing some misspellings. So there's like people's names involved in some of my projects, or the name of a project, the spelling. Like this is a library of things, and I've built it in a way that I can go in and change this like dictionary, if you will.
Yes.
So as it comes across, it fixes things properly. That way I have a organized notes that I can go through, and sometimes, depending on how I've journaled, I would just take that, go into, right now I'm using a workflow in Windsurf that I go /draft blog post, and then I give the journal entry.
Yep.
Say, draft a journal post from this. That workflow has my tone, the way I write things, where, for instance, I don't, at least I try to not write things to say, do this, do not do that type of thing. It's more like, okay, I had this challenge, I was doing this thing here, I'm having a conversation explaining what I was trying to solve, and then presenting that as like, hey, this is not the final word on anything, it's just what I know right now based on my current experience. And then to get that out. So that will create this draft based on my voice and my tone for my blog. I read over that. I use Grammarly to help with some of the grammar, some of like reshaping the language, which helps me also improve my English a little bit, because I'm like, yeah, I can see that like AI has drafted the blog post from my words, but then it used some constructs. It's like, that's not exactly how I would say it, but it also shows me some things about the English language that's like, yeah, that's a valid sentence.
Yes.
But if we rewrite it like this, it actually flows better. So I've been taking the time to also, as I go through, and at that point I'm in Obsidian, right? Reviewing the draft, and then Grammarly is showing me the things that I could do to make the text better. So I take that time to learn that a little bit. Once I got that, I have a workflow to build the prompts to generate an image to illustrate my blog post. So it has like the definitions, like the dimensions of the image and things like that, the style and all that. So it generates that. I use Gemini Nano Banana to create the image. I have a workflow in Gemini that will upload the draft to WordPress. So it uses the WordPress API to send that over to WordPress. It's if I dropped any image in the text, because that's the other thing, as I'm reading through the drafts, I think, okay, do I want an image here? What kind of image? Do I already have an image someplace? So I drop those in there. This workflow will find those. It will upload those into WordPress. It will prepare the draft, replacing the references to those images, so that it doesn't use the Obsidian reference. It uses the reference that's going to be in WordPress. Once that's up in WordPress, what else? Oh, there's another part of my workflow here, still on the local side, that will categorize the post according to the taxonomy that I have on my blog, and it will suggest tags, right, to keep things tidy and organized. Push that all up, this workflow will set up the category and the tags in WordPress as well. What else? Yeah, once that's all in, I leave it as a draft until it's time to hit publish. Very rarely I'm gonna schedule the post because it's like it's up there as a draft. If something else comes up that I'm like, no, I have this other thing that I want to post before, I'll do that. Unless I know I'm gonna be traveling or something like that, I may schedule the post. Once it's published, I go back into yet another workflow to just write the initial post to social media.
Yes.
The ones that I drop a note like Blue Sky, Facebook, and LinkedIn.
Yeah.
With a link to the blog post, I often like go through it and I remove things because there's things that's like, no, this
don't want it.
Yeah, I don't want this, I don't want that. And I haven't refined that workflow yet. I do want to refine that with the changes that I make to the text. So I get to do less of that. And that's how I get a blog post out. Yes. And that's how I've been doing it every day. Because every day, if I got out of bed and I lived that day, there are things up in my mind.
Yes.
If I take, sometimes all it takes is like 5 minutes for me to just voice whatever I have up in my mind, voice it out, get it out. And if I did that like a few times during the day, sometimes it's like that, right? With the hectic days that we're context switching and doing all of that, there are different things that are up in my mind. If I take the 5 minutes to get that out, at the end of the day, I get to choose. It's like, which one do I want to actually spend a little bit more time thinking about? And then I may drop a little, a few more thoughts about it. And then I get to decide, like, is this something I would like to blog? And sometimes it's like, yes, I want to blog, but it's very specific to maybe projects that I'm working on that, I should not be disclosing certain information there and things like that. So I will go through, I will tell my workflow to draft the blog post. And then once it comes out, then I'll say, okay, de-identify people, projects, situations. It's more about what is the core thing that I'm pondering. And then I get that out. So that's why it hasn't been hard doing the thing. What's harder is just to make sure that I hold myself accountable to the process, which is voice it out. If it's being up here, voice it out. And then work through the system to get it out. And then if there are friction points, this is something I've evolved over the last 3 months, which is like, yeah, sometimes I get that text and now I want to drop an image here, drop an image there. That kind of broke the system because it creates this markdown, and then once it goes into WordPress, then I had to like manually tweak that.
Yes.
Like that's too much work. I don't want to do that. I want to drop the images when I'm reviewing the text in Obsidian, because it makes it very easy. I'm reviewing the text, I can preview, and then I can drop some images, see how it looks, and then I just want to say, go ahead and send it over to WordPress, which is the platform that I'm using right now. But yeah.
So I ask because you could split this into many different pieces, but I'll split them into two for simplicity's sake. You have the content creation and you have the processing of that content.
Yes.
And many people, when they think about blogging every day, they think about sitting down at a blank page and asking themselves, what do I write about?
Yeah.
And that being the blocker in the process. Like, oh, I don't know what to say. But
Right.
what you described is recording, just getting everything out in a very raw way.
Yes.
Not creating the final product up front.
Not at all.
That is something that happens after the fact.
Yeah, not at all. So that's thanks for pinning that, because that is important.
Yeah.
Like I get the raw ideas out. I don't care how it comes out, because it can be very likely that nobody will ever hear or read those ideas.
Yes.
I just need to get them out. Because once I got them out and I kept going on with my day, and then I go back and I read through it, what happens is I've already put some distance between me and the original getting those ideas out. So now I'm seeing it in front of me. I get some clarity over that, and then I can refine it. but I don't refine it to a point where it's like, oh, this is going to be like fully professional level article for a magazine.
Yes.
And I'm going to work on every single word. No, I'm just going to go with this is good enough, right? Being comfortable with like, this is good enough.
Yeah.
Because I go back to why am I doing this? I'm doing this so that I take the time to get the raw ideas out, so I see what's up here in some form that I can put it out, and I can go back to revisit that and do my own analysis.
Yes.
And so it happens, I do it publicly.
Yeah.
Because next thing you know, the one thing, and it's so, man, it happens so often that, I'm sitting on this idea, I'm like, this is something I want to get out there, right? Would it be valuable to anybody else but me? And then I get a little message like, direct message or an email or something like, that blog post of yours, it resonated with me because of this, that, and the other. And I take note of that, by the way. That's why I drop. This is an important thing. I choose to drop a blurb on those 3 social networks with a link to the blog post, because when people put a response there and they say, well, I like the idea because of this, or that resonates. And I ask, why does it resonate?
Yes.
Right? I try to pull a little bit more. And I grab those and I save it in my Obsidian with the initial thing. Because then I can, when I'm reviewing those posts, I can go like, oh yeah, I posted about this. Oh, and Matthew mentioned this thing, and this other person mentioned this other thing. Oh, yeah, okay, I need to think a little bit more about it because I think I have a follow-up to that. Yes. Or since then, I've learned some other things that I can answer those questions or follow up with those people with a clearer vision or more meat about that initial thing that was raw when I put out. Right, so that's another thing it's very important. It just keeps feeding. Right? I can always go back to previous posts and see what people have commented on, and think, oh, are there other things I would like to say about it? Oh.
This brings up a conversation that we always have about social media in the way that it exists today, where everything feels ephemeral. So the way that you're describing your process and your creation of content, putting it out into the public and seeing responses to it, and later responding to those responses with newer information, this suggests that this is like living content.
Yes.
Where when you think about social media, it's not living in the same way. It has a very short shelf life, even of minutes, if you will, unless it goes viral, where we don't put a whole lot of thought into what it is we're sharing beyond the value that we get out of it being consumed by people, and not consumed in a very deliberate way. It's like, I put this out there and people liked it. And so instead of consume, I guess engage is a better term to use there, where people are just engagement seeking and not seeking like meaningful engagement, but metrics, where what I'm looking for is likes. And if there are comments, the comments are not so relevant. I might not even respond to them, but what I want is the count of the comments to rise, because that's more engagement. And the more engagement I get, the more my content, future content, is surfaced for more people to see. Not for the sake of me engaging with those people in a meaningful way, but in to the end of growing my online presence. And I think that's such a wicked model.
Yeah. I think it was maybe 2 years ago. I remember like there was a new document that came out with the optimization, engagement optimization tips and tricks and whatever for LinkedIn, like this document with I don't know how many pages. And I like quickly skim over it, like, no, I'm not doing any of that. Like the whole thing about, you drop your contents and then you don't want to put a link there because LinkedIn does not like that. Does not like you getting people to go out. So instead of what you do, you put a comment and then you drop a link there. It's like, I'm not doing any of that.
So that document you're describing is basically whatever the title was. The real title is How to Game LinkedIn.
Yeah.
How to Game the System.
Yeah.
And we're asking, okay, what behavior does LinkedIn reward? And that starts to creep into the way that we produce content, the way that we share content. I can't even put a link into the main post because they do not reward that. Maybe they do not share it more or promote my post. I have to put it at the comment level. Like that's not the way.
Yeah, that's 100%. And like, that's why it's very important for me to ask myself, like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
Am I trying to increase my reach through LinkedIn? So I'm going to like game the system or work with their system to get more eyeballs on my content. Like, no, I don't want any of that. I want to drop it as easy as is, as, you know, honest as it can be.
Yeah.
And then the few people who read it and they go like, oh, that's an interesting post. That resonates. Thanks. Okay, that person will say, it resonated. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
What point exactly resonated with you? I rather have that one conversation with somebody who's interested in, because that's the thing that I'm striving for. Is like, okay, I'm putting these things out. What resonates with who and why?
Yeah.
Right. So that when I'm thinking about more about that content, who should I reach out to say, hey, remember that post you mentioned a few words there. So I have this other thing. Can we get on a call and explore that?
Yes.
Or I wrote something. Would you like to, review it before I actually put it out to see if there's anything that I'm missing? That's what I'm optimizing for. Right. But it's totally like, it's not what most people or the platforms are built for. Yeah.
So if I think how we engage with the world is in many ways shaped by incentive models. Like even the ways that we show up in the world or show up in the workplace. If I came to work and I was a really mean-spirited person, no one's going to want to work with me. So even if I wasn't a very warm person, it would be in my best interest and everyone else's interest for me to show up in a more warm way. This applies everywhere. If social media rewards you being a mean-spirited person, and there's been lots of literature suggesting that that is the case, where the more content that is inflammatory that you post, the more engagement that you will get.
Yeah.
So if the platforms reward this kind of behavior, that's the kind of content that's going to continue to be created. Yeah. So it's like, what can we do, given the existing structures and the algorithms or whatever, to make these platforms places that are more welcoming to be in, that are more enjoyable to be in. I hate LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I really do. And just being honest, this is one of the reasons I'm working to build in public, but LinkedIn just feels like a nasty place to post, to be honest. Like there are spotlights of sunshine where you see these are people who are in earnest, like sharing things that they want people to consume and engage with. And then you have all the majority, which is people promoting themselves, selling themselves. Here's my course. Type 1 in the comments if you want to get this link. You get the link and you're taken to some post where you think you're getting something free and really it's a course. And it's like,
yeah.
I don't want to be here. But because there is some level of having to play the game, we must be there. So if you are compelled to be in a space, even if that space isn't the greatest space, you only have control over you and how you engage with the space.
There you go.
So
there you go.
While you can complain, you can do something better, which is be the change in that space that you want to see. Model good behavior.
Yeah. Yep. Amen to that. I'm totally up for that. That's why it's like, I said, I drop into these 3 social networks. I don't hang out there much.
Yeah.
Right. I make it very easy for me to go in, drop that content, and then should people respond to it, right? Then I get a little notification. I'll go there, look, and it's like, oh, that's a great comment. There's a great follow-up there, right? Let's keep that conversation going. And then I get out. So like I don't have these apps on my phone, for instance. It's like I just don't. No interested. I hardly ever like I drop it into those networks. I'm not like scroll. Like, no, it's depending on the kind of notifications that pop up, I mean, oh, that is actually something that applies to the work that I'm doing. I'm actually interested in that content. I'm going to grab that link, maybe read. It's a blog post or something that somebody else has put out, but that's about it.
Yeah.
But the thing of like spending time there to just work as a cog in their system, like, no. No. LinkedIn is notorious for driving me nuts with the whole thing about like somebody sends a direct message on LinkedIn. They send me an email saying so and so sent you a message, and then the email does not show me the message, making me click on it to get to their app. I absolutely despise this business model.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, man.
And it's pervasive. It's something you see everywhere. Like all of the information that I need, given what this person sent me, can be shared here in the email.
Yeah.
But you want me to come into the app, not just to read that email. You want me to land on, that's right. You want me to eventually land on the timeline.
Yeah.
And when I land on the timeline, you want me to scroll endlessly. Like, and that's it. That's the model. Yeah. It's an anti-pattern to me. Like, but it rewards them.
Yeah.
And their application is free. And they have to monetize it somehow. And to do so, they have to bring you into the app. So that means even if I could have shared this information in the email that I sent you, I'm not going to do that because I need to support this model. And to do that, I need to bring you into the application.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And it's funny with them specifically, or not necessarily funny, maybe tragic, where for a direct message, that's what they do. They send you like the little, the person's photo, the name, the person, sent you a direct message. They show nothing else. Now, if somebody comments on one of your posts, they say so-and-so has commented, and then they show you like 3 or 4 words, but not the whole thing. That
teaser, if you will.
Yes. So as I think about, like I've been articulating or this change about how we talk about stories.
Yes.
Like no longer I really don't want to think about user stories anymore. It's human stories. There's a person there, not just this abstract cartoon that poses as a somebody. So it's a story. So I'm thinking, let's pretend that at companies like LinkedIn, there's somebody writing a story. And when I see things like that, I'm playing with the ideas like somebody somewhere has written a story. And what does that story look like? Right? So in order to force somebody to be in the app doom scrolling, as the owner or as the whoever that person is, I want an email sent out without giving our users, right? Because at that point it's not our customers, it's our users. It's like, what does that story look like?
And furthermore, to take the thought experiment to an even more wild place, imagine if those stories made it out to the timeline, how nasty they would read.
Yeah.
People would say, reading through this and the descriptions and, well, this is why we can't do it. This is the business why, et cetera, et cetera. Oh, this is what they think of us, is what people would respond to.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah. So I've been collecting some examples of things like that. From that standpoint of thinking like, yes, somebody on the other side, they are writing those stories.
Yeah. There's even literature about this. There's been whistleblowers. There's been lots of books even written about this topic, where a lot of these companies will hire psychologists, people who study human behavior so they can exploit it. How do we keep people in the app? So we're using your own psychology. We're weaponizing your psychology to keep you in our app.
Yes.
It's nasty business, but it's a reality. And that's again, if we're going to engage in these spaces, and many times we want to, for whatever reason, it is in our best interest to be aware that these things are going on. Like these are the dynamics of the spaces that we're playing in. Otherwise, these forces are still acting upon us, regardless of whether we know about them or not. But it's in our best interest to know, so we always have this awareness, and we don't fall into the traps to the best of our ability.
Exactly.
Even if you know that something is happening, if the content is attractive, for example, and again, like these are people who are weaponizing our psychology against us. So even just having an awareness isn't enough.
Yeah.
It is not enough. But it is, just the awareness is enough to give you a fighting chance.
Yeah, you have to be aware of it. Yeah, there's you mentioned there are so many books on the topic. One that I do need to revisit, I've read it, I think last year, and I need to revisit is Hooked.
Yeah.
By, I forgot his name, Near something. But yeah, he talks about that, right? What is the mindset, the psychology behind like building tools like that, and how if we want to write good tools for people, knowing those things, to then leverage psychology to say, okay, I'm building a tool to help people.
Yes.
Knowing that people have the following kinds of behaviors, how can I leverage that behavior to nudge them into the good thing, not the way some companies do that.
And there's the other side of it. Just as these things can be used for evil, they can be used for good.
There you go.
So we should find the positive patterns.
Yeah.
If we're building software and placing it out into the world, our software should contain these patterns.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's and I've been talking to people here at Improving, where we work at, where we have so often these conversations where I've been paying more and more attention to the different types of value that stories should convey. Because a lot of times we all focus on the business value, the business value, the business value.
Yeah.
But that's just one of 5 types of value for stories, right? So it goes business value, customer value, user value, societal value, and alignment value, right? You want to hit all of those. So if you get the business value for this thing here is to make our users come back and get stuck into the vortex of our trash bin here, right? Okay, you hit the business value there. What about the user value? How is that valuable to the user? Is it valuable to your customer? I guess the people who are like dropping ads and using your users' data, have you hit that as well? What does that do to society?
Yeah.
Is it making society any better? Do they all align? Right? So if you get like high value here on the business side, does it align with the societal value? If it doesn't, well, alignment value is like,
yes.
Like, who is asking those questions?
This gives me an idea for a new product. And it is a very human-centric product. One that would be in great benefit to society. Every website or social media app, we can start there, is measured by that measuring stick. And business value would always be in the green, I would imagine. But all of the other points, alignment, customer value, user value, it would plummet if they were plotted out in the chart, and we could rate each one of them by this measuring stick.
Yeah. Yep.
And people can decide from that point, from that perspective, and of course you'd lay out why this website, for example, got that rating. And from there, you can decide whether to continue to engage with this website. And if such a website got very popular, where all of these ratings are, the owners of those websites would start to place a value on that. We need to raise the alignment value because we're plummeting there, the user value,
Yeah.
et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. Yeah, because I could like see situations where if you play this right, you could have a situation where, well, the business value has dropped here because we raised the societal value.
Yes.
The society sees that and brings back as business value.
That's right.
Because like, oh, we can trust that business because they do have us in their minds as well.
Right.
So they're making a little bit less money now, but we're doing better as a society. We can be stronger at contributing to the businesses in the community.
Yes.
For instance, that would be lovely.
It would be.
Right? So yeah, I do experiment with things like that. There was we're both Notebook LM users,
Yes.
right? It's a tool that we use quite a bit, and I know that there is there are things that I would like to have in Notebook LM that are not there yet, and then watching some videos on YouTube, I came to know of some extensions, like browser extensions, that will give some features that Notebook LM does not have, like organizing your notebooks into folders, for example, or downloading all of your sources at once, which is through their IDE right now is not, or not IDE, through their UI is not possible yet. So somebody created an extension that will give you a lot of these features.
Yes.
What got me thinking is, oh, okay, so it costs like this many dollars a month, or like $40, $50 perpetual license. And I was thinking, well, at first I thought there will be a time when those features may be just built into, right? Folded in. So like, okay, how does that? And then I started like thinking, okay, as a user and customer of Notebook LM, I could think, yeah, why would I pay $50 for this thing that maybe 6 months from now I'm gonna have that feature there natively? Yeah. But then I thought, well, if it's gonna save me time between now and then isn't my time, right?
That's the way to think about it.
Right. So that's the way. So from the customer, because in this case, I'm both the customer and the user for that. Like, yeah, that would make sense. I'll spend that bit of money and then eventually that tool will probably go away. And then I thought, okay, now what about from the business perspective? The people who made that tool, right? It could be like, yeah, maybe their business model is, well, we're going to solve this problem. And we know it may solve people's problem for 6 months, a year, if that much, but it's okay. We'll make some business value during that moment.
During that period, yes.
During that period, then we'll move on to do something else.
Right. But I would imagine if that was your business model, you're constantly looking ahead. You have to, because there's a shrinking window. You don't know when these features will be folded in natively, but it's safe to say, or safe to suspect that they will be at some point. So in the meantime, while you've gotten a tool out there that fills in these gaps, you have to be continually looking forward. What is the next thing? What is the next tool that we can create an extension for that fills in gaps in those areas? When we think about AI and the cost of software being driven down and the speed at which we can build out new features like these extensions, such a business model isn't crazy.
No. And you know what? I will tap on that. So I would say, and you've heard me say this before, and I've said it here in the podcast as well. Instead of looking at the next thing as the next tool, I would offer the perspective of what is the next need.
What's the next need?
Right. So now that the customer, the user of that product, they have a need to say organize their notebooks in folders. That's a need.
Yes.
That tool solve that. What is the next need?
Yes.
Now that people can do that, that need has been fulfilled.
Yes.
What's the next need? Well, how do we know that? By both using the tools ourselves and see what do we need, and then more importantly, looking at other people and see what they say that they need.
Yes. This is funny. I have been building out a tool called Mardi Gras, and this is an open source tool that I'm sharing with the public. How I decide what gets built, I have a skill. And what the skill does is it looks at GitHub issues for the tool that I am building on top of.
Nice.
Reads them, sees the issues that are consistently coming up, drafts plans to solve those issues, and then I kick off an implementation step. And then the next build of my thing has all of those all of those concerns addressed.
There you go.
So yeah, we've even streamlined that, but it is a matter of people thinking in this way. Like, what are the needs that need to be addressed, and how do we address them?
Yep. It's like, how do we identify, how are those needs brought to our attention? And that has been a part of my pondering as well, is because I've moved from like, oh, we need to go find the problems that we need solving. Like, that's how I used to think. And I'm like, okay, is it really a problem? Let me first understand the need, right? And then got to the need, and then having a conversation with an improver a few months ago, he asked me, why stop at need? I'm like, oh, that's a good point. Why stop at need? Because if there is a need, there's probably an aspiration that sparked that need.
Yes.
If there is an aspiration, there's probably a value that the person wants to live into, that based on that person's values, right, they have aspirations which will trigger needs. So if we can make our way over to the bottom of it, which is people's values and identity, because whatever they say is a problem, there's a need behind it, there's an aspiration, it comes from that value. The sooner we can get to that value, the better equipped we are to help them live into their values, not just solve their problems. So you can, at that point, anticipate, once we have fulfilled the following need, knowing that that person values the following things, we can like go and say, okay, now that they're going to have this need fulfilled, this is probably what they're going to need next.
Yes, because you can look at the next and see if it is in alignment with their values. So the question becomes, how do we understand what their values are? How do we access that information?
How about we start asking, how do we know what our values are? That is a tough exercise.
It is.
Right? So a few years ago, I've read Brené Brown's book called Dare to Lead. And there's an exercise there. There's like a list of like 120 values or something like that. And you need to, the exercise is, and I'll paraphrase, is to look through those and ultimately get to like your two main values.
Yes.
So you highlight the ones like, oh yeah, this one, and this one, and this one, and this one. And then you end up like with 35. It's like, well, that's too many. You have to narrow it down. So when I did that exercise, it was pretty hard because I got to the like 30, 20. It's like, no, I want to get, and then I set a goal to do it like this. I want to identify my 10 values. Out of those, what are the two core values? And the other 8, I call them my supporting values. They support the main two.
The main two, yeah.
But man, that took me a few hours to go through that exercise and say, okay, why did I highlight that value? But then I dropped it in favor of, like, it triggered a lot of questions I had to ask myself. So when I'm working with other people, that's like the kind of exercise is like, okay, if people cannot come up and say, oh, these are my values.
Yes.
Like, well, let's talk about that. Let's make sure that we understand what those are so that then we can plot a way forward, right? So there are like, if the values come from, let's say, a company's values, well, a company is just this abstract made up thing. A company is just a group of people. So at the bottom, at the end of the day, you have to find, okay, who are the people? What are their values? That their collective values are the following. Let's make sure that we understand that. So if we are working with a company Usually on companies' websites, they have these are our values.
Yes.
This is our identity. So that's a starting point, right? Because if we hear from a person or a company, oh, this is what we need, or this is the problem that we have.
Yeah.
Okay, let's connect back to your identity and your values and try to work our way from there, right? Not every company, not every person has their values or their identities straight where they say, this is who we are, this is what our values are.
Yeah. It would be a lot easier to organize society if there were these floating values above our heads.
Yeah, I was watching a video by with Simon Sinek from Start With Why book a few days ago, maybe. And he talks about like, yeah, all these companies have all these values on the walls and everything. And they are like nouns, they are not verbs. So it's like, okay, it's great that you say that those are your values, but what do you do that actually shows those values?
Is what you do in alignment with those values.
Exactly.
We've seen many cases where that is not the case when it comes to the way companies behave versus what their stated values are.
Yeah. Which is something I like here that we have at Improving. So our values, involvement, excellence, and dedication, right? And we do have like a long a sentence description of each one of those, but we have internally like a series of like journal prompts to reflect, to think, okay, like for myself, me, Claudio, how am I living into the dedication value? So I have to think through it.
Yes.
Right? How have I been living into the excellence value? And I write out a list of things, and then I ponder, it's like, okay, is this involvement or is this dedication? Or is there like an overlap? But I don't want to like just drop it in a bucket. I want to think about it. And once I'm doing those things, like, yeah, it lives into our value of excellence.
Yes.
What else do I do, or what else could I do to live into that? So that now I'm more focused on what can I do because I know it aligns with our values.
Yes. So even if you took such a test that gave you those answers after pondering, that is a snapshot in time.
It is.
So it is something that we have to continue to do.
Yes.
Not every day, obviously.
Yes.
I don't mean we don't have to take the test every day.
Right.
But every so often.
Yeah.
So we can measure against where they were at that point in time versus where we are now.
Yeah.
And this has to be an ongoing process.
Yeah. And this is, I love it, 100%. And this is where one of the spaces where I've been leveraging AI, right? Where I've created a markdown file that has Improving's identity and values and my own values. So when I come out of, say, a meeting with somebody that we have a transcript, I feed that through this markdown skill, however, whichever tool you're using, and I say, okay, analyze this transcript and show me how I've been living into our values, our company's values and my personal values.
Yes.
And then it gives me some insights. I'm like, interesting.
Yes.
And the thoughts that come to it, because like, oh, that actually, because this is what I did during that meeting, or the things that I've shared and this and that and the other, I've lived into the dedication, Improving's value, and my making a difference personal value. It's like, I need to do more of that.
Well, yes. You cannot hold yourself accountable in a serious way if you don't have anything to measure against.
Yep.
So we have to be tracking this information.
Yes.
We have to be doing the reflection and putting the things that we reflect on into practice.
Yes.
Because maybe we come out of a meeting, we run this process and we say, oh, I was not in alignment with my own values or the company's values in this meeting. Something has to happen in response to that.
Yeah.
Because if that continues, it's going to eventually rise to the level where someone else sees it before I can see it. And then we have a problem.
Yeah. Yeah. And this ties back, I think a few months ago, we did talk about it here when I was journaling through my values at the end of last year. And there were two values that are kind of like
in conflict.
In conflict,
Yeah.
thank you. Patience and taking initiative. Right? So I can leverage the AI to show me that. It's like, oh,
yes,
yeah, maybe you're being too patient here. Maybe it's time to switch over into taking initiative. Or maybe it's the other way around.
Yeah.
It's like you're pushing to take initiative on that, but wait, you don't have
patience.
enough information, do some other things to collect information and insight before you actually act on it.
Yeah.
But it only comes from it's the measuring from the standpoint of like, doing the thing and tracking that.
And tracking it.
Yeah.
This allows, and this isn't necessarily even an AI thing, because this is something that we had the ability to do pre-AI. AI just makes it more streamlined, more easy, and it helps act as a mirror if we've given it enough information.
Yeah.
And mirrors help us to see ourselves.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I love it.
So these tools, whatever we build that is tracking information about us, they only work if we do. They only work if we work.
Yeah.
If we're doing the work, the outcomes will be good because we're giving it the information it needs to paint an accurate reflection of who we are. If you're giving it some timing information or just insufficient information, then that's what will be reflected.
Yeah.
So these tools are only as good as we are.
Yeah. I like that. That makes me think there are tools that I've used over time that I lose trust in them if they ask me for data, they make me push data, but they do not give me that data so that I can perform my own analysis on that.
So they're saying, hey, I need that data, but for me, not for us.
Exactly.
Yes.
So that, like, if tools that I use that I've noticed this pattern, it's like, okay, you're making me give you all this data. I want that data.
Yes.
Because I want to run my own analysis. I want to understand my own behavioral patterns.
Yes.
Where's my data? And if the answer is, yeah, you can have it.
Yeah. Then you can't have it either.
Yeah. Exactly. Like, namely, what something that I want to do, as I said, with my blogging practice, right? So I'm pushing that information. I'm giving some of that data to LinkedIn, Facebook, Blue Sky, right? They are tracking a whole bunch of stuff that they track from that. Well, I want that data.
Yeah.
Because I want to query my system and say, okay, go through my blog posts and see what kind of comments people are making on it so I can find certain threads and think, oh, when I'm thinking about what I should be thinking next, I want to find that cluster and say, oh, that people are interested in that. I want to keep honing into that thing.
Yes.
That data is all there. It's my data. Can I get to it? I doubt that I can.
No. There have been some pushes for companies to, for example, if you wanted to export all of your conversations from ChatGPT, there is a way. It is not a very straightforward way, but there is a way.
Yeah, I did that. I did export my full ChatGPT history and close my account.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't make it easy.
No.
That is very unfortunate. I don't want that. I want to, like, at least the things that I have control over, to be able to do that and show people, like, hey, look, this is what you can do with that. Right? And like something, again, how are we doing on time? I'm gonna save that for next time.
Very good intuition here, man.
Right? Yeah, I'm like, okay, should I bring this up? No, it's gonna be taking us in some different ways, different paths. But yeah, it was an easy way to fill up an hour. Holy cow!
Easy, man.
Right?
That time flew by.
Yeah, that's good conversation.
Yes.
That's really good conversation.
More for me to reflect on, more for me to put into practice.
Good.
And when I listen back, it will be on the radio.
It will be on the radio.
Reflective Practice Radio. Join us next time.
Absolutely.
Maybe next week, maybe 2 weeks. You'll know what we know.
Yes, it will be next time for sure.
It will be next time. Mr. Lasada, thank you.
All right, absolutely.